Hey guys, welcome to the FitTown show. It's been a while since we've done our last one, probably about 6 months. So we're excited to get on the podcast and record a new one for you. Today, it's myself, Coach Tony, and Coach Austin, and we're going to be talking about our 2024 beliefs in fitness. I thought it was proper to date this one as, beliefs in fitness can change and should change. I know we've recorded podcasts like these in the past. We'll probably do more in the future. But your beliefs should evolve, right? And your values and mission statements should not just get locked away into a playbook, but actually change as you evolve as a business, as an organization. And speaking of evolving, our business has changed a lot in the last year, where Austin and his wife Danielle, who are coaches, came on board as owners. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome so far. I'm excited to have them on board. And with that, I'll turn it over to Austin and kind of talk about, or ask you, Austin, what do you think is the belief in fitness that most aligned with you as you were a coach at FitTown that made you feel like, hey, I want to be an owner in this thing and I want to help FitTown evolve more and see help the trajectory of FitTown going forward?
Yeah, I think to do that, I think we have to go back to when we first got here, Danielle and I, which was 2018. And kind of what drew me to FitTown in the first place, which was that's when we were still CrossFit Palm Beach, first off. So
Yep.
I was looking at it from that lens. But from that lens, even so, the thing
You're the
that
best
stuck...
CrossFit, right?
100%.
Looking for the best CrossFit, you found it.
But the reason I do, and I still believe that, is the attention to detail to change what I thought CrossFit didn't do very well. And that could be a whole separate podcast when it comes to like programming and things like that. But the attention to detail that the programming team put to making specific workouts flow a certain way in a week, the way the gym was structured in general, how coaches were treated professionally. There's a million reasons, but that's what first drew me. And then as I've been here for however many years that is, if you add that up, stepping into 2024, we've continued to evolve that to fit where the bulk of our clientele is now. And, we talk all the time, but when you guys first started in 2012, like your life was completely different. Like what you did for fitness was completely different. And if you were still doing what you did for fitness then now, you probably wouldn't be walking very well. So yeah. I look at it from that lens, and my belief in fitness now is like, is it fun? Do I want to keep coming back? And then am I actually able to keep coming back? Like, do the workouts allow me to hit it hard or hit it whatever pace I feel that day? And can I come back the next day and feel confident that my body is going to continue to hold up and be there without the risk of, something happening, like a wear and tear injury? The thought of that, drives me nuts. So my belief is you should be able to have fun. You should be able to play. I don't want to take out skills and things like that. I think that's great. But it needs to be dosed appropriately so that you can continue doing this for as long as you want. I mean, I think it's your dad's birthday, actually. Maybe we should use him as an example.
Yeah, that's right. So Buddy Frezza turns 76 years old today. And he's like the definition of longevity when it comes to fitness and kind of defying age. Yeah. Whenever I tell people how old he is, they don't believe me. They're like, show me his driver's license because he's got to be younger than 76. And that just shows you, with a good fitness, I should say a smart fitness regimen, you can act and look years younger than you actually are. And he's a testament to that. And really, as you mentioned, in 10 years, I've felt a difference from starting this in my late 20s to now I'm turning 40 in 2 weeks. My body changed so much and my workouts need to change with that. So it's how do we dose appropriately, or at least take an approach to fitness where everyone feels welcome, right? The 20-year-old that still wants to go hard feels like they can work out next to my 76-year-old dad, and both of them get a great workout. To me, that is the epitome of what we're trying to build here at FitTown, is that we can't make the perfect program. We can't make the thing that fits both of them, but we can equip them with the smarts and knowledge, and hopefully the knowledge of our coaches, to give them that best workout of that day when they come.
And I also think it's important that we as coaches allow the clientele to feel like that is okay. I think what's happened too much in the fitness space previously, but as it continues to grow, is like, I hate the word stimulus, but like that word gets thrown out so much. It's like, you gotta hit the stimulus. Like, this is what we're looking for. And it's like, everybody's Tuesday is a different Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know, you might have taken Monday off. You might feel great on Tuesday. I might have just come off of 6 days in a row going into Tuesday. And I think the ability to adapt on a day-to-day basis and give people the freedom to do that is one thing that I really believe in. And then I know we as a gym
Yeah.
really believe in.
Yeah, there's a little bit of autonomy there. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that works with like diet too. Like, I don't think there's one diet that fits everyone.
No.
You know, like what's healthy for some person, another person's allergic to. You know, most people might say, "Yeah, I'm allergic to burpees," but you're probably not, and you probably just don't like them, as most people do. You know, but that's just, everyone's so unique that we need to prescribe workouts in a way that it can be fit to anyone, and it fits our motto of just show up. Like, we really want people to just show up, come to the gym. We'll figure out how to modify for you, how to scale for you. But it's that like indecision of like not coming to the gym. Like, that's what we want to avoid at all costs. So like, when we created the gym in 2012, it was really just like kind of like social hour, you know, and that's how I think fitness should be, in a sense, right? Fitness should be like the place where you can go see your friends. It should be the place that like you don't dread going. Because I mean, gyms are notoriously like, "Oh, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta go to the gym. Like, I have to do it." And it's like, no, like, it's, if we can reframe that and like give it as a privilege to get to go to the gym. I get to see my friends. I get to have this hour with like people cheering me on and making me feel good. What we're really doing here at FitTown, I like to think, is like we're in the confidence business. We're in the self-esteem business. We're that person cheering in your corner that you wouldn't just have in your day, right? I mean, not everyone has like a person just cheering for them at work or giving them high fives. Like, that's what I want to be for people. I want to be the place where people go to, like, they just automatically feel better every time they step in the door and every time they leave.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's important to feel that they are getting that. And what I mean by that is getting their version of that, is what I should say.
Yeah.
Because I don't think everyone's version is the same. But what's really changed for me, I think, in the last, I don't know, 6 years or so, like belief-wise, there was an age where I like couldn't see past, if that makes sense. So like, I could see fitness working for the 15-year-olds up to like the 55-year-olds, and then for some reason, like for me, it didn't go beyond that. Mm-hmm. And now that I've been here and I'm myself getting older, I'll be 30. I'll be 30 soon.
Man.
But the idea that like, it doesn't matter if you're doing personal training, it doesn't matter if you're doing classes. Honestly, I don't even care if it is at FitTown, but like, it has become super important to me that people of all ages are doing something. And if there's anything over the last couple of years I've realized is very important, it is that, and it is some sort of resistance training for anyone. I think Buddy's a great example. You'll see him ebb and flow between Beach Fit and FTX like constantly.
Yeah.
But the thing that keeps me excited about him is that he's doing something resistance wise. Like, he didn't just give up completely and like, oh, I'm getting older, I'm just going to start walking. Which, by the way, I'm not hating on walking. I think it's amazing. But I think getting some level of weight training in there for all ages is super important. And I don't think it needs to look like you're doing snatches and clean and jerks, but something that is going to strengthen you. So when those ages come, when you are 60, 70, 80s and plus, like, you've created a body that can hold up.
Yeah. Reading Peter Attia's book, Outlive, he talks about everyone gets so focused on lifespan. No one's talking about health span. And health span is really the quality of the years at the end of your life. Like, because a lot of people have a long lifespan. They might live to 90, but at 75, they were using a cane, or being pushed around in a wheelchair, or, having to have assistance in assisted living, like that doesn't have to happen to everyone if they keep an active lifestyle.
Right. And you can hate on burpees, but I mean, seems to me that getting up and down seems very important.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Squatting. It's, so we have this like functional, ideal to our fitness as well. It's like this applies to real life. So when we talk about like things like move every day and be fit every day, like we don't want to just say this is a belief, but we want to show it. So we've done challenges where we have movement challenges and we have people mark the calendar. We have the FitTown 50 coming up where we encourage people to do some extra running and push-ups in preparation for MERV. But we constantly take this approach of like, hey guys, like, what did you do today for movement? Or, all right, I need to stop the gym. My schedule's too busy. Cool, but we still care about you. And what are you planning on doing for movement in the meantime?
Right. I just think it's important to do something. Like it doesn't have to be a well thought out workout like here. Like if you can't make it to the gym, that's okay. Like you can get a lot of fitness by just being at home and walking, running, doing some push-ups, sit-ups. Like you can do more than enough doing that. But I think what tends to happen is people, myself included, allow life and schedule, kids, you name it, to kind of give you permission to take a break or to slow down. And it's like, well, I'll just do it tomorrow. And then, well, now tomorrow also is not very convenient to do it. And it's like, well, I'll do it the next day. It's, now you've started this derailing of everything you've created to this point. And anyone who knows anything about exercise science knows that it is much easier to just maintain than it is to start rebuilding back everything you've lost. Like the ability to just stay at a maintenance phase, you would actually be very surprised how much volume it takes to just hang on to what you have. It's not much. You just need to do something. But it's the people who are like, I've just kind of fallen off the wagon. I haven't done anything for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it just starts with a couple days where you've like allowed yourself to okay. And I think taking days off are completely fine. But when you have those moments where it's, it's not the perfect scenario, it's not the perfect time, I don't really want to, those are the scenarios and the times that like you need a community of people who are supporting you, and you need the little bit of willpower it takes to just start.
Yeah.
Because everyone loves it when they're done. No one really wants to start. But if you can just start and start the habit of, like we say, just showing up or just get moving, the compound effect of that is humongous. And I think we haven't got into it, and I don't even know if we plan on getting into it in this podcast, but I think that's why for me, like, it sounds so simple, the Committed Club to us. It's so simple. Like, the biggest reason for the Committed Club isn't to make us do 200 burpees. But the biggest reason for us to do the Committed Club is it starts consistency. You have to be somewhat consistent to make it 15 times in a month. For some people, that sounds like oh, really, only 15? And you can make it sound as easy as you want, but that's hard. Like, if you have a career, you have kids, you have a spouse, whatever, you have a family, like, it is not super easy to do. Yeah. Like, you can easily, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to make it to the gym this day, I didn't get my workout. Yeah. And then before you know it, you're 13 workouts and there's 2 days left, and you got to get them in. So I think what I love about the Committed Club is it is a goal that you are going to commit to at least 15 times in a month, that's going to start the habit of you being consistently showing up every single day or every other day or whatever your pattern is. But it's just a little carrot to dangle out and motivate.
That's why I like the Committed Club set at 15, because in a 30-day month, you have, hey, every other day I'm working out, right? And so we get asked all the time, like in our habit challenges, how long does it take to build a habit? And honestly, it takes as long as you need to build a habit, right? Which for some people is 21 days, some people it's 75 days. But how long does it take to break a habit? And I say 2 days. Yeah, that's pretty much across the board. Because the first day you can give yourself a little, pass and say, you know what, I'll get it tomorrow. And then when you don't get it tomorrow, that habit's broken. Yeah. And you have to rebuild it from scratch. But you get that 1 day of kind of like grace period. Once it hits 2 days, I think the habit's kind of gone, and you have to build it back stronger. So that's why the committed club works really well, because it is every other day, at the least in the month.
Yeah.
I think another thing that you kind of touched on is like we get so busy that a lot of people get stuck in this all or nothing approach. And I think it's so important to remember that something is better than nothing. Yeah. And showing up and giving 50% because you got no sleep last night because your kids kept you awake is so much better than just skipping the gym altogether. So, and I think that comes from like this kind of like an old CrossFit mentality of like, I either have to be on the ground dead at the end of the workout or I didn't achieve fitness. And that's probably my biggest growth away from CrossFit for myself, and the way I want to encourage other athletes in the gym is that not every day has to be all out and on the ground. It's probably one of the most, I think, overrated things in fitness right now, and still is, even as CrossFit's popularity has gone down. Whereas you only need that type of feeling, I'd say twice a week max. And our programming reflects that in a way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
From the programmer,
but I'm on that side, yeah. And like I said, I think we could do a whole podcast on programming alone. But the important thing on that is like when people look at it, it is general, meaning it's for everyone who's coming in the door that day. Because we don't know what you are personally going through on a day-to-day, potentially. We don't know what you had to eat the night before, the day before. We don't know what your sleep was like. We don't know what your life was like the last week or whatever. That's why I think it's so important to continue not only educating people on it, but reminding people that it's okay to change what you need. Like I think an easy example of this is if we have running and people are biking. That modification, like we don't really tell people anymore because they know, like, I'm not going to run because of an injury, I'm going to bike. That applies to every single thing we do in here. You're like, I woke up and my back's a little stiff. Just talk to a coach. And they're probably going to be like, hey, instead of doing a cyclical movement like a kettlebell swing, how about let's slow you down? Maybe we still want you to move through that range of motion, but maybe it's a much slower controlled type of movement. Maybe it's a slow tempoed RDL or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. But as an example, like that can happen on a day-to-day basis. The coach is going to brief the workout as the workout was intended for the general population.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you can't take it and alter it. That doesn't mean that because it's a sprint type workout and you had a rough night that you can't just move steady. I just think that I wish people would feel that they have the ability and the okay to do that. And really, my belief in fitness is like, you need to get out of the workout what you need to get out of the workout.
Yeah.
We're not forcing you to feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if it was a 100-meter sprint, but you're like, I'm moving it more like a mile pace today.
Yeah.
And move at the mile pace. But don't just not do anything. I think if you can talk yourself out of, I'm not feeling it today, but I'm going to move, you're going to feel 100 times better when you're done. And there's some days where it's like, hey, I need a break. Take a break. Just don't let that break be the habit starter of I'm going to start skipping the gym.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to start skipping whatever my routine is.
And I think a lot of that falls on us as the coaches to make sure that person feels welcome in modifying and scaling, whether that be, hey, it's a running day and there's 6 bikes up front ready for our bikers, or we're deadlifting today and I have some 45s out on the ground ready for risers as people don't, may not touch the ground with their deadlift, then that person feels welcome to modify. Yeah. Whereas I think in our gym before, even previously, we weren't that smart. Like we didn't know those things. We didn't have that almost like social awareness or emotional awareness to be like ready for that person that may not be ready to go get it in that workout that day. And I appreciate honesty too. Like if a member comes up to me and they're like, it's just one of those days.
Oh yeah.
I'm 50%. Like, and I love that. Like it's just honesty and straightforward with your coach, and your coach needs to know that.
100%. Yeah. We don't want to push you on a day that you don't want to be pushed.
Exactly.
But our job is to motivate you, is to push you. But if you can be honest with us in the beginning, it's just going to make for a better experience for you and a better workout for you that day. Even if in your reality, it's not a good workout because you took it 50%. You're going to get more out of that day at 50% than you would have at 100 because of how your body's going to feel the next day. and then you can come back the next day and attack it if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, this is getting soft. I think we need to harden it up a little bit. We're sounding really soft in our beliefs. So what do you think? Like, one thing I did want to touch on was mental fitness. I feel like for me, doing this as long as I have and still pushing myself pretty hard in workouts, just less frequency in that intensity. I always use this as a mental test and mental growth. Pretty much, I may not hit certain PRs that I used to hit. I may not break certain Murph time PRs, but I'm still pushing my mind to a place where my body says, you should probably stop. And I say, I think I'm going to keep going. And I think that's so important to just life in general, to keep our mental muscles strong and keep going for hard things and being intentional about hard things. I think that's really important in fitness because our bodies, and talking about aging and longevity, our bodies want the path of least resistance. They want to just, like, your body is going to do everything it can, or I guess your mind is going to try to talk you into that. And you got to do certain things that kind of get you away from that little by little so you don't get into that path. And I feel like for me, having a strong fitness routine keeps my...
And honestly, if anything has happened in my fitness journey, it's, you would think it would be easier, right? 15 years now. And it's like, you were like, oh, that's a habit. It's like, kind of, but I'm getting new, like, baseballs chucked at me from every direction. Like, like, oh, here's a kid, here's another kid, here's now you're owner of the gym. Like, there's a lot of things that can, alter my schedule on a day-to-day basis that I might not be ready for. And being able to sit there and be like, okay, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this, but you're going to start. I think for me, it's as soon as I start, I'm fine. But the getting off the couch or whatever I'm doing,
you're always on the couch.
I'm always on the couch. Getting into the thing has actually gotten way harder for me over the years.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. I'm at least aware of it, because I think some people are not aware of it. They think, well, I've been working out for 10 years. Like, it's just part of my life. And it's like, really, do you think you're as consistent as you were 10 years ago? And I think a lot of people would probably say no. Mm-hmm. And it's because you've let these little things over time snowball. And then you get to the point of, oh, wow, like, I'm actually nowhere near as consistent. Maybe that's the reason I'm not seeing the results that I was once seeing. Maybe I don't pay attention to my nutrition like I used to. Maybe, and you have to, like, take inventory of yourself, but also be aware that that is okay. At any moment, you can change that direction. You can change the course. And I've had to do that myself, like, multiple times. I mean, we had our first kid when COVID happened. And I was like, what? Like, I don't have the gym. Like, the one staple of my life that's been consistent since I was 17 years old has been a gym. And then that got stripped away, and we got a new kid, and yeah, it changed everything. It changed everything I thought about fitness. It changed everything I thought about my own, I guess, willpower or whatever you want to say. And I've had to adapt. So I think the biggest thing for me is what I've realized is I don't have to do as much as I thought I did. My fitness doesn't disappear like I thought it would. I can still do a lot, if not most, of everything I did when I was training way too long in a day. And my body feels better. I think those are all really important things that I've had to find out. I didn't find out in a good way. I found out in a bad way. Like, I wouldn't work out for extended periods. I would not eat great. I would definitely not sleep great with kids. Now that I've started kind of reining all that back in, I'm like, that was all just literally my brain. Like, it had nothing to do with anything else other than me telling myself that that's just how life is now. Yeah. And I think it's okay to be honest with yourself. Like, no, like, you can do something about that. It's not going to be easy. It's never easy. I was actually just, we had a guy come in. I did a consultation with him this morning, and he's like, he hasn't worked out for 4 years. He hurt his back 4 years ago, and he hasn't done anything. He's ready to get back into it. And I took him over to Beach because he wanted to see it. And I was trying to explain to him, like, listen, like, I tell most people this, but if you're getting into that style of workout, the first 2 weeks, I'm like, I just want you to know it's not going to be fun. You're probably not going to enjoy it. You might enjoy the class and the people and the camaraderie, but enjoying the workouts and how sore you are and all that, it's not that fun. Like, it's getting into it is not a great thing if you haven't done anything for a while. Now, we ease you in, of course. We don't just push you off the cliff. But even so, like, you're going to be sore in places you haven't been sore in years. And committing yourself and saying, you know what, I'm going to get up the next day and do it again, like, that's tough. I was like, but what's going to happen is after 2 weeks, your body's going to start adapting. You're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. Then you're going to actually be wanting to come to the gym. I'm like, and that's when you can actually start making progress. But you've got to commit. You've got to commit, and you've got to tell your mind, like, I don't want to do this, but I need to do this, and I'm going to do this. And like I said, it's not easy, but it's no different for that person who hasn't done anything for 4 years and me. The only difference is the education levels that we have in the realm of the fitness world.
Yeah, I think people see us and they're like, oh, it's so easy for them to work out. Like, it's so easy, owning the gym. Like, of course they hit their committed club. And it's like, no, like, honestly, I probably struggle mentally just as much, if not more, than a lot of people do, right? So, I'm always like battling the checking the workout before. Some people will say, I don't check workouts because if I check it, I won't come. Like, I'm pretty close to that. That's not me, but I'm not that far from it to where I see a workout and I'm like, you can do this. You can do this, right? Still, this many years in. So it happens to the best of us. Don't you guys worry about that.
And I think for the people who have been here for extended years, like, I battle with the same things you're going through too, as far as like, you're aging, you're not hitting workouts at the same, amount or intensity or volume that you once were, and it's okay to reset. I think that's what I've done recently is like, okay, I can't expect my weightlifting numbers to be weightlifting numbers if I'm not weightlifting. But in your head, you're like, oh man, like a couple years ago I did this, or a couple months ago I did this. Like that's not fair. Like you're not doing half of the work that I was doing when I wanted those big numbers. I don't care about those now, so I can't wrap my head around that. So I battle with that all the time. Like, oh man, like when I was running more, like my running workouts felt so much easier, and it's like, well, you're not running, so what do you expect? So it's okay to reset, but it's going back to we were being soft. It is also on you to understand that if you're not putting in the same amount of work and effort that you once were, then you can't expect the same outcomes. Right. And that's not a bad thing, because I don't think for a lot of people they need to be doing the volume that they were doing years ago or the intensities they were doing years ago. But you also can't compare yourself to that person who is doing something completely different. Yeah. I think there's ways you can actually leapfrog yourself from years ago. And I think for 99% of us, that comes to nutrition and sleep and recovery and all these things. I actually think you can keep everything lower, change those couple little details, and you might actually feel better and perform better. But yeah, for me, it's been like, hey, be okay with resetting. Like, don't worry about the PR that you hit when you're 21 years old. Like, what is your PR as a 30-year-old or 40-year-old or 50-year-old? Like, you can't compare those. They're apples to oranges, and your life is completely different.
Just maintaining a certain level of fitness is the goal. Like if you can, let's say your back squat was 300 pounds at one point, but it's still 225. Like that's still impressive, and if you can keep that as you age, that's impressive. Yeah. Right. So I think that's what we need to keep in mind as well. Is as we get older, it's like you said, reset those goals, make new ones, but it's okay to have them lower than previous goals in your life.
Yeah. And then on the flip of that, I know it sounds like we're going back and forth, and it's because there's so many people with so many different goals. It is also okay to have aggressive goals if you want. And I go through this too. Like when at the beginning of this year, from January to June, I was focused on weightlifting to get ready for a competition because Dylan talked me into doing it. I was pushing myself much harder than I would have had I not. And I think there's times and seasons where it's like, sure, like have fun, push it. You want to see how fast you can run a 5K or whatever? Like, okay, work on it, train for it. But I think it just comes down to awareness and what are you trying to do? Do you want to feel good? Do you want to progress in something? Do you want to just maintain where you're at? You just have to have a little bit of awareness. And if you're unsure and you want to talk to someone, like, talk to us, because I think we can help guide you and maybe help you create a roadmap to wherever you want to go. But just sit back, think about it, and just hopefully find some awareness in where you actually do want to be. I think a lot of people have this contradicting mindset of, I want to feel good and I want to kill it.
Mm-hmm.
And those clash a lot of the times, right? They're like, I just want to, be a healthier person. And it's like, but I also want to qualify for the CrossFit Games. And it's like, all right, so you don't want to be that healthy. Because if you want to qualify for the CrossFit Games, like, the amount of sacrifices you're about to make, not only from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint, your family, your friends, your life, to do that, like, it's not going to be fun. And is that actually what you want, or you just want to be the fittest you can be? Because those are different goals as well. But yeah, it's a deep rabbit hole. So I think if you're struggling with that, like, talk to a coach. That'd be my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, and I think that coach would help you develop maybe seasons around your goals. Say, let's not tackle 5 different goals at once. Let's kind of narrow our focus onto one thing, and let's dedicate our focus to this one thing, because you might have contradicting goals, as you said. Last thing I want to mention about, like, kind of our beliefs in fitness and what we try to achieve at FitTown specifically that might be different than the gym down the street is that we want to be communal in the fitness industry. Like, if you don't like group classes, this gym probably isn't right for you, unless you want personal training, in the off hours that classes aren't going on. For me, like, I grew up kind of in that Gold's Gym atmosphere, headphones on, didn't want to talk to anyone, put me in the tunnel, let me just bench press and leave. And now I can't picture going back to that. Yeah. To me, like, the community is everything, to where when I'm looking at that workout and thinking about showing up or not, the drive to show up is a lot about who I'm going to be working out with. And I think, like, people have said, CrossFit's a fad, it's going to go away. And I don't think group fitness will ever go away, because, like other things in life where we get together, around drinking or around activities and sports, we can gather around fitness, and we can gather around getting healthier together and helping each other get better together. And I think that is something that will never fade away or be a fad, that will always have people getting together to get fitter together.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things is when I hear, like, I wasn't going to come, but so-and-so texted me this morning. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Or, like, the 5 a.m. with a group chat. Like, I don't even know if they're allowed to miss at the gym. I don't know what their rules are, but it seems strict.
Yeah. They get voted off the island.
Yeah. Go to the other side of the turf.
You have to wear your underwear to class one day or something. I don't know.
It gets wild. Yeah. But I think if you're someone who struggles with staying committed, staying on top of it, staying honestly, just I don't want to use the word, like, mentally tough. I think that's kind of overused. But, like, if you struggle with that battle constantly, I think this style of gym literally can be the missing piece, because you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
You're probably going to get a coach reach out or two by the time you come back. You're probably going to have someone who's in class text you, like, where you been? We miss you.
Yeah.
Good luck surviving on Sugar Wad. They'll attack you in a positive way. But I just think if that's one of the reasons that fitness just hasn't worked for you yet, like, you're someone who's like, I've started and stopped. I think that's one of the things that can, like, really hook you in and keep you in.
Yeah.
And this is obviously something that's positive that you want to be hooked on. Like, it's not like we're like this group that goes to the bar and, like, gets hammered every night. It's like, this is something that's going to help you for the rest of your life. And if it takes people to help you, good. Like,
yeah,
it's honestly, it takes people to help me to get me back in the gym. Like, if I've missed a couple workouts, people, will banter with me, and, like, that banter helps.
Yeah.
Like,
really,
dude, have you even worked out this week? Yeah. I think the community aspect of what we do is, if not the biggest, one of the biggest parts.
Yeah. Well, you guys are what you make FitTown what it is. You guys, the community listening to this. So thank you guys for all you do in making FitTown great. If you guys have any questions about this podcast or any questions you'd like for us to answer in the future, please just send them our way, and we'll talk to you guys on the next episode.